Live to Sydney now. Mark Speakman just stepping up to the mics.
Is to turn up every day for the people of New South Wales and hold the Minns Labor government to account, no matter what challenges or difficulties or obstacles may fall my way. One of the many failings of the Minns Labor government at the moment is its capitulation to the CFMEU and the ETU. The ETU at the moment has work bans as part of a negotiating process that are crippling the development of infrastructure and housing right across New South Wales. We're seeing over $23 billion worth of infrastructure held up because of these bans. That includes RPA, Royal Prince Alfred Hospital. It includes major housing projects. It includes Snowy Hydro. It includes the Western Aerotropolis. There is a clear ability for the Minns Labor government to make an application under the Fair Work Act to the Fair Work Commission to suspend or to terminate this action. If the Fair Work Commission finds that there is the risk of significant damage to the Australian economy or an important part of it, the Fair Work Commission must order suspension or termination. It defies belief that the Minns Labor government won't take this basic action, won't make this basic application. It's what the Liberals and Nationals did in 2018 with a rail strike. It's what the Albanese government did in 2022 with a lockout. This is just further proof that Chris Minns and his Labor government are the puppets of the union movement. Not only do they fail to take action, but we had the extraordinary episode of the Planning Minister in budget estimates last week basically defending what is going on, saying he supports so-called protected industrial action. If he were a housing minister worth his salt, he would be telling Chris Minns to make this application. At a time when we're seeing housing approvals going backwards, record lows in housing approvals in the middle of a housing crisis, this is an extraordinary default by the Minns Labor government. But it's unions like the ETU, who pay the affiliation fees, make the donations, control pre-selections. This is a government that has capitulated to the union movement. They've capitulated on wages policy, making promises at the election that weren't funded. And now we're seeing that to pay for that wages explosion, we're seeing real cuts to health, to education, to police, right across the board, because this is a government that is putting unions first and not the people of New South Wales. Questions?
What is your role now?
Well, my role remains as leader of the State Parliamentary Party. A federal intervention of the kind resolved yesterday by Federal Executive doesn't change that at all. If this goes ahead, it substitutes an administrative committee appointed by Federal Executive or delegated by the State Executive to exercise the powers that State Executive had. So all it means is you are substituting a federal appointed executive, a smaller executive for the State Executive. But what matters more than what is the internal administrative mechanism of the Liberal Party is its parliamentarians taking up the fight in Canberra and here in Sydney for New South Wales and Australia every day. What matters is making sure we are campaign ready to take the fight up to a terrible Labor government both in Canberra and here in Macquarie Street. They are joined at the hip. They are failing the people of New South Wales and Australia when it comes to cost of living relief, managing the economy, building infrastructure and having any vision for this country or for this state. Who's next? Who's next?
Had no culpability for the chaos that was failing to nominate 140 council candidates. Would this have all been avoided if John Harlan stood aside weeks ago?
I don't know what is in the Loughnane report. I haven't seen the Loughnane report. I'm not sure that I will ever see the Loughnane report. But that is apparently the basis for Federal Executive's decision. So I don't know what is in that report that has led Federal Executive to form the view that intervention is appropriate. My views about culpability for the nominations debacle remain the same. They remain unchanged.
Mr. Speakman,
Alexi, next.
Mr. Speakman, the party can't even get the announcement right if Mr. Stokes went to the same unfair. Can the party get anything right?
Look, that's a pitch, but there will be plenty of excellent people who can serve on any administrative committee that is set up, and I'm sure we'll find good people to serve on that committee.
You want a woman who? You want a woman?
James, next.
You want a woman who?
Look, I'm not going to nominate a particular woman at the moment. There'll be discussions about that in the next few days. I think it is important to have female representation on the committee. Women are half the population. In the modern Liberal Party, we need that injection of female talent. We've done extraordinarily well in the Parliamentary Liberal Party, lifting the number of women MPs. We're not quite at parity yet, but we're around the mid-40s percentage-wise when it comes to frontbench representation and parliamentary representation. I think it's appropriate that the many female members of the Liberal Party in New South Wales, and not just parliamentarians but branch members, get to see that women are at the helm when it comes to decision making. I'll go for Julia next. I don't have the power to sack anyone on state executive. Federal executive, however, has the power to intervene if they think there are appropriate circumstances. Can I finish the answer? Okay. No, I don't. No, I don't. Federal executive has that power to intervene if they think there is a risk to campaign readiness, and that's obviously what federal executive has decided. And what is more important than the internal makeup of a Liberal Party administration committee, be it state executive or a smaller committee, is making sure we are giving the people of New South Wales and Australia our very best chance of defeating these terrible Labor governments. That's what matters. And people out in Blacktown or Penrith or Ballina or Nowra, they're more concerned with cost of living, cuts to health and education infrastructure. They don't really care who is on an administrative committee of the Liberal Party. But no, I don't regret not calling for Mr Harwin's resignation. And can I finish the answer? Can I finish the answer? And it's nothing to do with factional mates. I have formed a good faith opinion that the stuff up down at Macquarie Street was at the feet of the state director. And while I disagree with Mr Harwin from time to time and disagree with some of the selections that were made by state executive, I just don't see that he has any sort of culpability for what has happened. But it's all irrelevant now because federal executive has resolved that there is going to be intervention, and what matters now is whatever different views we have about that, we all get together, we unite behind what has happened and take the fight up to Labor. That's the real issue, not what internal mechanism there is. Taking the fight up to Labor and making sure we are holding them accountable at federal and state level every day when it comes to cost of living, when it comes to the economy.